Can we do 240?
Is that 240? Perfect. Okay. We're good.
Okay. But we're here. We're listening as well. We're actively listening as well.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank
Hey,
you.
Chloe. Take it
Hi.
away.
Okay. My name is Chloe Dolandis. It's really nice to virtually meet all of you. I know this has just been the weirdest time in our lives, or one of the weirdest times probably so far. But I praise you all for acclimatizing, like figuring out how to do it and showing up. I think TV production in school is, wow, it really set me up to have the career that I have today. And I'm very grateful for that. I love my career. I don't think I would want to do anything else. Although there are other things that are interesting to me, I will say. We can get into that later. My brief background is that I was born in New York City and I grew up in first Aventura, Florida. So that's just south of where you are. And then I moved up to Boca Raton when I was in elementary school. And I was doing musical theater pretty consistently. My mom was a ballet dancer and she did musical theater. And my dad was a professional musician. They're both now retired. My dad was also a school teacher in the public school system. He was eventually at Eagles Landing Middle School in Boca, if you know anyone at Eagles Landing. So he taught science. So education was really important to my dad, to both of them, but traditional education was really important to him. And so he always encouraged me to go to college and, do the traditional route. And then my mom, of course, had this career where she was a ballet dancer. She was on tour all the time. And she also did TV and some voiceover. So I saw this alternative route and I wanted to do both. And so I did. And this is like really, really compressed. There's a lot that happens, from like the time you're born until the time I'm 36 now. So that's a long time to figure things out and keep changing. So musical theater and dance, and then I was singing a lot. And I see all of your questions and we'll dive into those in just a minute. But I just want to give you a little bit more of an understanding of the path of, how to get, to like an adult career in the arts. So it was amazing to me to see how I love musical theater, but I knew that I wanted to be on TV and like do all these other things, but I was uncomfortable in front of the camera. I was really critical about how I looked, which if you don't have to be that way, please be confident on camera. Don't waste your energy on anything negative. It's not worth it. It hurts. And it's all, people are going to have their opinions and they can keep them to themselves. You are beautiful and amazing, and just be yourself on camera. That's like the number one thing I hope you take away from this if you do want to be on camera. Or if you want to be behind the microphone, that's actually where I felt a little bit more comfortable. You can find your way behind the microphone too. So when I was 14, I started doing voiceover work pretty consistently. So I'm actually going to dive into a couple of these questions because they are relevant to where I am in my timeline. Okay, I always wanted to be on Disney or Nickelodeon or one of these kids networks. It was really different when I was growing up because we didn't have YouTube. We didn't have the internet. I mean, it was just a budding thing. So imagine a world without smartphones and without, TikTok, whatever you're on, whatever you use, or whatever, whatever's in your world. It was basically television and like rudimentary computers. So it was like basic, like these huge machines, and you were like, type on these giant keys, and play things like Lemmings or some like, early video game like Pac-Man or something. So I did want to be on Disney, but the funny thing was I ended up being on Nickelodeon, so I wasn't ever on Disney. Although I will say I did do one voiceover for Disney Spain, which is like a branch of Disney that's in Spain. And it was a dubbing voiceover. And that happened probably in my late teens, early 20s. So this is like all throughout high school, I'm doing voiceover and musical theater and singing at nursing homes and singing at like weddings and bar mitzvahs and parties and just so many different things. And then doing shows in college too. And that's how I met. I'm used to calling him Danny.
Sorry, Danny, fine. Danny's fine.
I didn't know if it was. So that's how I met Danny. We were doing a show at FAU together in college. But all the while I was doing all these other things. So I ended up booking a voiceover through a dubbing house down in Miami. A dubbing house is a place where they take films that aren't in one language and make them into that language or in multiple languages. So this Disney Spain movie called El Arca, which is a story, it's like animal characters from Noah and the Ark. That story though, but they were like lions. They were the main characters, and I played the lead lioness, Kyrell. So that was the only thing I did for Disney, and that happened through my voiceover career, which started at between the age of like 11 and 14. I was doing things here and there, and that a lot of that. It sounds kind of all over the place, and the truth is I was just doing all these different things every week. Every day it was something different, and I was just so passionate and curious, and I was lucky to have people sort of show me the way. So if you have mentors, if you know people in the industry, ask them questions, ask me questions, ask people in your world questions and ask for help, and then do your own research. And yeah. Okay, that was like the more you know. I don't know if you even know what that is, but that was like a little nice tip. Okay, so Disney. So that happened like kind of early on. But then what happened was when I graduated high school, let's backtrack a little bit. So I was 18 and I had been doing musical theater and I was very competitive in that. But the voiceovers just kept picking up and I knew I wanted to be on television. So I had done TV production in high school. And I got a reel together, which you know what a reel is, right? Where it's clips of you on camera. And I got an agent. I was taking some acting classes too. It's amazing how different disciplines in the arts inform each other. They help feed each other. So I took this acting class and met this woman who was like, you should get this agent because you're like, you have something, kid. It's like that, silly, typical, you're going to be a star. But that doesn't, you have to do your hard work. It's not like you're going to be a star. Like you have to put the work in. Anyway, I got this agent in Orlando and I found out about this audition just because I was always asking people questions. I was on these online forums looking for work and jobs and auditions. And Nickelodeon was doing this new show called Splat back in 2003, I think. Maybe the end of 2003, beginning of 2004. And so I auditioned and then I got a callback, which a callback is a second audition, and you go and you maybe meet producers or the director, and it starts to get like more exciting because maybe I can get this, and you're kind of like narrowed down into this smaller group of people who they are going to pick from. And then I didn't get it. Someone else got it. Someone who was like basically in my category. They were doing casting. They wanted one African American man, one Caucasian man, one Hispanic female, and one Caucasian female. Like that's, or maybe one, this is a weird term and I don't really love it, but ethnically ambiguous female, which is where I fall. It's such a, it's bizarre because like, where are you from? Like, who are you? What?
Is that the new cliche term now, Chloe?
Yeah, it's like really strange. It's been around for a while, but I think it's coming up more and more that now that we're having these really important talks about race and the media and gender and all of these things that are coming up in the world that we need to be addressing because we're all human and we need to have a space in the world. Sorry to piggyback on that. What's interesting about casting is sometimes people, the director or the producer or the client thinks that casting is going to go one way and it's like, we're looking for this type of person, and then if you do a great job they may just like change the rules, like I grew up, this is a strange example but funny, I grew up in near Miami, and there are a lot of people in my life who speak Spanish. My mom speaks Spanish, not fluently, but really, really well because she lived in Venezuela when she was dancing. And so I speak Spanish a little bit, but enough to get by, and my accent is good. So I wouldn't get auditions for Caucasian woman because people thought I looked Hispanic. So I would do all these auditions, and anyway, sometimes I wouldn't get them, and sometimes I would. And now it's like it's much more. Sometimes if you can play a character, uh, you can audition with your, another accent, or it's a little bit less specific, but sometimes they're like, we want someone who has, who is ethnically this, like this is your background. They want authentic casting. And I think that's awesome, because it gives more people an opportunity to be in the world as they are. So I'm still waiting for the day when they do an authentic casting for a quarter Greek, 30% Hungarian, French, English, Irish. I'm like 12 things. I'm like this huge mix. So who knows when that's gonna happen. Okay, I'm going on a tangent here. Nickelodeon. So I didn't get it, and this other girl got it, and then they ended up, and I was really disappointed, which happens, but you learn to not get disappointed about stuff like that because you just keep auditioning, because you're gonna get if you're gonna audition as an actor or as an on-camera person, you're gonna get rejected a lot. That's just the nature of the business, and that's okay. You just keep going. So I suddenly, like a year later or 6 months later, in the middle of a hurricane in Florida, I got a phone call saying like, "Hi, Chloe. This is the producer from Nickelodeon. We'd like to have you come and join the show." It was so strange and crazy. But one of the girls had left, and I guess I was like, it was between the two of us, and she was gone, and so they replaced her with me. And I was like, okay, and I dropped everything, and I moved up to Orlando for a little while, and I shot the show, and it was live TV, and it was so much fun. It was one of those slime shows. Um, they're called interstitials. They come on during the commercial breaks. So I did that, and then that led to a different show called Friday Night Slime Time, which I did out in California, and then 1 episode in Orlando, 2 episodes in Orlando, and that was awesome. And all the while, I was just like writing music and meeting music people and producers, and my gosh, I'm just like rambling on and on and on. This is what makes a career, though. You just, oh my gosh, you just find opportunities and keep trying. And it's not like don't take no for an answer, because sometimes it's a no and you can just move on. But I think the persistence and resiliency are really, really important. And just knowing that you have to keep showing up, and that no one else is going to do the work for you. You have to have the chops, you have to practice, and training is number one. So how amazing is it that you're in a position now to take a media class in middle school? Like I didn't have that. I know I would have wanted to. Um, I got it in high school, which was awesome. But for you to start even earlier is great. So let me look at a couple of these other questions. So the Disney question, I think I covered that. What was your favorite character to voice? My favorite character to voice. I like voicing. I like voicing. I like voicing things that are me. I like those, like, I've done some of that anime work, which is so fun, but it's, like, really, really crazy, and it's so like, on my voice, it's so draining, and there's a way to do it healthily and so you don't hurt yourself, but, I think I got kind of exhausted from doing so much of it. So, I like voicing, commercials and stuff, like, I don't know if you've seen the Chewy.com, the pet store ads, if you've ever seen those, but Chewy.com, like, those are fun. And then I did, like, The Secret Life of Pets, the ride at Universal Studios Hollywood, like, that kind of stuff is really fun. And then the really heartfelt stuff. Right now I have a commercial running for Safeguard soap. Um, so it's kinda strange, like, I remember as a kid not wanting to watch the commercials, but, as a working voice actor now, because most of my career is voice acting, especially considering, we're still in a pandemic and I'm not going anyplace. I'm much happier staying at home and working from home and staying safe. I think I think the commercial work was more appealing. Someone asked about money and what's the average amount of money you can make doing this career. I mean, really, the sky's the limit. It's a vague answer, but I have friends who are making. I mean, I have friends who are making probably $10,000, $20,000 a year, who they just kind of, they do it on the side and it's fun for them. And I know people who have made like a million something dollars in a year doing voiceover. It's crazy, crazy. And it just depends on the genre you're in. And I what I would say about that though is money is really important, but when you follow something that really speaks to you, that you really connect with, I don't think any amount of money can replace your happiness and being content and doing a job that makes you feel um, like you have a place in the world, like you're excited to do it. And of course, like the money is necessary. I mean, we need it to live in this society. That's part of the deal. But so commercial work and certain things that like maybe aren't as fun to watch when you're a kid or a teenager, like oddly, that's the advertisers are paying a lot, so you can make a whole lot of money by doing that. There are a lot of animation is done in California, um, and some of that is really high paying as well. Um, I ended up I thought I wanted to do more of that, but right now I'm actually doing some e-learning stuff, which is just like teaching courses online. And I think like for me, finding that consistent balance where I'm getting pretty steady work, and I'm good at it and I enjoy it and I'm learning things, and I feel appreciated. And then the money is good. Like it's sort of this median level. I'm feeling really good about that. So um, I do want to encourage you to be enterprising and be an entrepreneur, especially if you choose a freelance route. That's what I chose, just because I love it and the variety is really cool. Um, but if you're just going after it for the dollar, I think in any career that may pose some problems in the future because um, it's really just not all about the money. That's my truth. So okay, favorite character to voice. So I hope I answered that well. Go ahead.
You
What
did.
you got?
Question list on the question. I think the first question I asked about the what you're in. I think everybody's here now. They can see it. I mean, they've hard acknowledged it. So
Oh, yeah.
break it down. What is it again?
Okay. So this is a booth. This is a 4x6, so I can go all the way back there. It's pretty big. It's a 4 foot by 6 foot vocal booth called Studio Bricks. It's not just vocals, you can play instruments in here too. Um, Studio Bricks is the brand, and basically it's giant, really, really heavy, not so easy to put together, but very, very cool once it is together, Legos. So it's interlocking pieces. You have the floor and you have these panels with carpet, and then you have these large panels that get stacked on top of each other. And this is my audio booth. So it's not soundproof. I mean, unless there's like a soundproof versus sound treated, they're very different things. So this is sound treated because you will be able to hear some noises come through, but it's quiet enough in here for me to do live directed sessions. For example, I have a session today at 4 where I'll be working with a client. Who knows where they are? Maybe they're in Atlanta. I have no idea. But they'll be recording on the other end, and they'll take my audio that I record live, and then they'll put that on a commercial. So yeah, so this is what I live in every day. I mean, I don't sleep in here. I guess I could. I mean, technically it's big enough, but I spend a lot of time in here, um, and I love it. And this was a very big investment, but I did a lot of research before I did it, and I've been doing this for 25-ish years. So it was definitely the right time to do it. So you want to jump to a few more questions? It looks like they're rehearsing. Are they ready?
Kwaku. Oh, Kwaku, you ready?
This is so cool.
Let me see.
Oh, I was
Yeah.
muted. I'm sorry. I was muted the whole time.
Ready?
Yeah,
Okay.
sorry.
Okay, I should warn you. I should warn you. I may cry. Like this kind of thing is just so touching to me. So don't.
Oh, really? Oh,
Yeah, it's so
well,
beautiful.
they're still in the process of learning the song, so we're gonna sing like half of it, but we're gonna just do something. You know, we wanted to do something.
That's
So,
amazing. Yeah.
yes. All right. Come on, professionalism. Come on. Remember, start strong. A little bit power.
Listen to the sound of my voice. Can you feel the beat of my heart? Listen to the questions I have.
Good.
Listen to me. It's all very simple. To see what we need. Give us hope. My voice is calling. Can you see? Look in my eyes. Can you feel? My hand is reaching. Give us hope. And we'll show you the way. Listen to the sound of my voice. Can you feel the beat of my heart? Listen to the questions I have. Listen to me.
Push it hard.
We are the future. Help us believe. Give us hope. My voice is calling. Can you see? Look in my eyes. Can you feel? My hand is reaching. Give us hope and we'll show you the way.
Show you the way.
Show you the way. Show you the way.
Yeah.
Yeah, great job. Don't you guys have to great job. Great job.
Nice work. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
My pleasure. That was so cool.
Thank you.
I did cry a little.
Gianna, go ahead. All right, guys, quiet down, please.
Awesome. Okay, well, that was wonderful, and I'm honored that you wanted to sing for me. What a wonderful moment. I can't even tell you. That was really cool. My dad, he retired last year, but he was a public school teacher, and I mean, I was in public school my whole life, and I think studying music and TV production in particular, and music, theater, and TV production, those three things in my school experience shaped me in ways that I'm just so thankful for them. So you're doing a great thing, and keep singing and keep practicing and keep asking questions and learning, and yeah, 100%.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, definitely. Should I keep answering these questions? Like, what do you want me to do next here?
My one of our assistants, Andrea, where are we on the questions?
Well, she kind of like went to like the bottom from the top, so I'm assuming
I
that
hopped around.
Did you answer when he said what voice did you do for Disney or any other companies?
Did.
Kind
Yeah.
of. Yeah. I can add to that real quick.
Okay.
I'll start there. Thank you, Andrea. I was on one episode of Peppa Pig, if you know that cartoon, but I don't even know that it ever aired because it was a different version of Peppa Pig than the one that you're used to seeing. It was I think you see the British one. We see the British one here, but it was like an American English version of Peppa Pig. I was Emily Elephant. So yeah, I've voiced for a lot of companies. I've voiced for Nickelodeon and Disney Spain, which was the animation, the dubbing project I told you about before. Anime. I voice audiobooks, so I read now for Macmillan, which is a really awesome publisher, and Blackstone and Vibrance. I mean, the list goes on. If you're interested, Danny put a link to my website up at the top, so you can go ahead and check out, and you'll see all the brands or some of the brands that I've worked with. I've worked with probably hundreds, maybe more. But okay,
Did
what is a
did
movie? Go ahead.
did my students said when they saw your video on YouTube in regards to FAU when you did the tour,
Oh yeah.
they recognized your voice to Spotify.
Oh
Did you
yeah.
work-
Yeah, they're not wrong. I've totally done Spotify. That's so cool. I did specific commercials for that. I'm not like, there's one girl who does like that. It's like "Rrrr," that sound, and it's like you're listening to Spotify. Like that. That's not me, but I've done commercials for them, and so my parents have called me and they're like, "We just heard you on a Snickers ad." I'm like, "Yep, that's me." Like, we heard you on a there was like a drink, David's Bridal. Like, I've done tons of stuff on Spotify. So, yep, you're right. Okay. So, Tristan,
Can I
what
ask a
is
question?
Oh, sure.
Okay, do you have a degree, and if so, what degree?
I do. That's an excellent question. Thank you for asking. And this goes back to my dad really encouraging me to stay in college because I just wanted to be on TV, and he's like, do both. Like, if you can do both, do both. And I did. I have a degree from Florida Atlantic University in interdisciplinary studies. So the cool thing about life is that if you keep asking questions, sometimes you can create a path that's never been created before. Um, Sometimes there's something that's already set, and it's like, oh, I want to do that. I'm going to go down that road. Great. But me, I knew I wanted to do all these different projects in the arts. So I met with my advisor at FAU and I said, hey, is there a broad degree where I could take theater classes, communications classes, music classes, art classes, do all these different things and get a degree because this is what I want to do. And she said yes. And it was interdisciplinary studies. So I have a BA. It's a 4-year degree. And I'm really grateful for it. FAU was pretty amazing. And it just allowed me to work in the South Florida market and then, grow beyond. So yeah, I highly encourage college, but I also encourage outside exploration too, and finding your own path. Don't let someone say this is the only way. There's not one only way. There are so many ways. So yeah. Quick, I want to make sure we get the rest of these in too. Tristan, what is a movie that got messed up and still looks good? I don't know what you mean, Tristan. Can you explain what that means?
He didn't show up. He's in a different class. That's not your fault. It's my
Oh, okay.
fault.
That's okay.
So I think he was trying to figure out, like, let's say when you're on set,
Yeah.
things that happen
Yeah.
that happen on set,
Yeah.
but then they turn at the end,
Oh.
it looks great. I think
Right.
that's what he was looking at.
Okay. Well, I think every experience on set is different because every day is different. And every show or commercial or whatever every production is different. One experience that I can share that wasn't mine, but my mom, who also did commercials, she was doing a commercial in Spanish in Miami, and it was for FPL, which you probably know FPL, right? Florida Power and Light. Like, that's a company that is really familiar to all of us, Floridians. So she had to throw a magnet with the FPL phone number on a refrigerator, and she threw it on the fridge, and it was upside down, and the guy's like speaking in Spanish saying like what, and so she just like messed with it. And something that you, as a performer, you don't stop when you're doing a take. And same with theater, same with news anchors. With voiceover you can sometimes stop, but if you're in a directed session, just you keep rolling as much as you can. With VO, actually, you stop at the end of a you just start at the sentence again and keep going. But you don't stop production. That's the director's job. The director yells cut, period. Anyway, she kept playing with it, and it was such a silly take that it turns out that's what they used on television. So sometimes things get like super strange on set, but like it's a happy accident, and that's what makes the cut. So maybe that answers the question a little bit. I thought that was a fun story. Okay, and Andrea, how did you get better at what you do today? Oh, lessons and training, research, asking questions, finding mentors, getting really excited about something, and spending time with it. It's a craft. It's like a sport, or it's like anything you want to get really good at. It takes time. I mean, you can have some natural ability, but having a great teacher and then doing your own study, that's how I got better at it. Because let me tell you something, I was not great. I was not like this child prodigy. I was not. I was the understudy. Like, it took me years to build up my singing voice and my acting skills, and I was intimidated, and I was shy, and I was nervous. I mean, I still get nervous sometimes. So, that training and that and experience, just getting experience and showing people that I really wanted to be there and that I respected them, got me some great opportunities. So yeah, find mentors and find people who you look up to who can help you along the way. Okay, and then we answered the money question. So I think I got all the questions that were written.
One of my students had a question.
Sure.
Sorry, I got loud because they're talking.
That's okay.
Ask your question.
What anime?
Go ahead, answer.
What anime? Oh, what is that?
What's the question?
What anime did you voice?
They said, what anime did you do voiceovers for?
What anime? There is a cartoon called Mini Goddesses, and I play a character called Skuld, Skuld, Skuld. So,
Nice.
Oh my Goddess, it was the original, and then Mini Goddesses was a spinoff. So,
Nice.
yeah, it was fun. But something that I really want to emphasize is that sometimes the projects that look really glittery and like, make you famous and stuff like that, they look really interesting, but it's not always what it seems. Like I've had good experiences generally. But if you're looking to make a living in this industry, you'd be surprised what pays more or what's more fun to do after a while. Sometimes the things you think are really fun can be, but like sometimes they're not. It's really, really strange. So I say just be open-minded about projects and don't do anything that makes you uncomfortable, and be willing to say no. That's for sure. But the fun stuff, the cartoons and stuff, that's fun. But there's a whole lot more out there that's also really fun when you get into it. I hope that helps.
It did. Guys, any of my class students have any questions? Peterson, Larry, Leland, Andrea, Gerardo, Philip, Jonathan, Brianna, Kwaku, you have any questions on?
I think I have another question. Come on.
Sure.
We have another question. Hold on.
Yeah.
Be loud.
Have people come up to you to show you like different types of projects, or like directors have come up to you?
Yeah, and it's not in the traditional way that maybe we think about it, like, oh, I want your voice, oh, what, that kind of thing. It's more about, from my experience, it's been about like building relationships, and then people wanting to collaborate more, and like, oh, I have a great project that I think you'd be right for, and they'll reach out. So like even today this happened. I have agents. I have like, this is kind of crazy, but I have like maybe 13 agents and a manager. So I have agents all over the United States and in London, and they all send me auditions. And that's not necessarily a common way to do things, but it's one way you can do it, especially in voiceover because everything is so remote now. But I had one of my agents who's in Washington D.C. call me and say, "Hey, you're in my top 5, preferences for a female voice in this age range. I want you to have this opportunity to audition." It was like an invitation audition. It was really cool. It's not just like, oh, here, everyone, 500 people audition. It was like a very specified thing. So that does happen. And it's really, really nice when it does because, it's like, oh, I'm doing something right, but it takes some work to get there sometimes. So be patient. That's what I say.
Nice, nice.
Yeah.
I actually have a question.
Lee, question?
I was gonna
So,
ask, how did you, for voice acting, how did you like get into it? Like, are there different websites? Like,
Yeah.
like the auditions, like what do you do audition wise to get out there kind of?
Yeah. Well, training is number one. So right now, I am working virtually with a few different places. I coach privately. I've coached privately for years. So I found coaches for me, and that's how I got started. That's like the number one. But you can go to a place like Atlanta Voiceover Studio, again, online. You don't have to live in Atlanta. Super cool. And they have beginner classes. They have kids classes. So if you, as a 7th grader or, as middle schooler, or even, when you get to high school, if you say, oh, I want to try voiceover, you can look up a place like Atlanta Voiceover Studio, and don't go to a place that's like trying to steal your money, because there are places out there that are like not great. So you got to be careful. But Atlanta Voiceover Studio is a really awesome place, and you can sign up for a kids class and take like intro classes like that, and then you put a demo together when you're ready, which takes some time. You have to get the training first so that when you're ready to do your demo, you can just do it and do it well and read those spots and act. It's a lot of acting, actually. It's, if you get acting training, it really helps. It's kind of necessary. And so then you get your demo, and then you can go to an agent or, do direct marketing, or there are these things called pay to play websites, which you have to kind of be careful because there are some ethical issues with some of them. Anyway, we can get into that at another time. But
Right.
but then you market yourself as a voice actor online. That's kind of the general thing.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
Cool.
And there was
Leland,
another question. Yeah, Leland.
my question was, how often do you like voice act? Like, do you do it just every day, all the time, different commercials?
Kind of. It's commercials, and then it's almost every day. What I got into this rhythm and habit of working too much, and I was emailing with Danny, and I was like, I can't get on the phone right now because I'm so tired vocally, because I was just talking too much. Because I was narrating audiobooks and e-learning projects, and they're really, really long, like 10 hours long. You just, reading these passages. Just imagine reading a book out loud. So I'll spend probably maybe 4 hours a day voice, maybe less, between 1 and 4 hours a day voicing things where I'm actually reading. But then the other time that I'm contributing to my career, I'm meeting new people. Like, basically it's online right now, right? It's all online right now because I'm isolating. So I'm connected. It's marketing, but to me it's like building community. So I'm making new friends in the industry. At 4:00 I have a session today, and then I have auditions. So I'm submitting like anywhere between 5 and 20, 25 auditions every day. It's crazy sometimes. So you have to really gauge yourself and not tire yourself out, because this is your instrument. That's why I could only do, one class with you all, because it's to do this for so long is, I love it, but I like physically can't, especially when I have these other things that I'm committed to already. So, yeah, I hope that answers your question. I work a lot, but I succeed a lot, but I fail a lot too. So I don't want you to be afraid of failure. That's a huge thing. I audition so much. I'll book maybe, a couple of auditions or a handful of auditions. I'll book them out of, 20, 50. You can go on a streak and audition and then not get anything for a really long time, but don't let that discourage you. You just have to keep doing it.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Also, I wanted to ask if you didn't end up doing this type of career, what would you end up doing?
I thought about social work when I was in college. I knew I wanted to like be community minded and give back. And then I was volunteering at a place called the Milagro Center in Delray. I don't know if you know of it, but it's this really wonderful center for kids. It's like an after school program. And so I did that for a semester, and that's one and it's a great place. But I just learned that kind of work it didn't feel like where I could like do my best. I was teaching theater to kids who didn't want to be there. It was really hard. And they did not want to be there. I was like, okay.
I work
So
there. I know
you
the
work
feeling.
so
I
you
get
felt that, yeah. But you
Yeah.
know what it's such an amazing place, and like the one-on-one tutoring was incredible because you could sit with a kid and and work with them on a math problem, and you have that connection. And then like recess is super fun. But teaching theater to people who just, I don't care if it's kids or adults, like if they don't want to be there, they don't want to be there. So and I also, I didn't know what I was doing. Like I was in over my head. I can't blame the kids. Like I'm not a teacher. Like I'm a teacher. I'm a coach. I'm a coach. And so, there was a lot for me to learn too. Anyway, what else would I do? I think I would still be in the arts somehow. I would look at writing. I'm writing now anyway. And I'm going to grow that some and see how I can develop my own content and stuff like that. So, and let's see, if it wasn't the arts, what would I be doing? I'd be teaching. I'd probably figure out how to be a teacher and do that.
How much money do you?
Oh,
How much money do you?
a better question, basically. What's the starting rate for someone who does voice acting? The starting rate.
Yeah, it depends. There are voiceover jobs that are in the world, and they'll pay you like $25, which, okay, when I was 14, and this is remember, I'm 36. This is like 22 years ago, right? So when I was 14, I was getting $25 an hour to voice these cartoons. Now, that math, like for a 14-year-old kid, $25 an hour is really good. In the scope of voiceover, that's like sort of taking advantage of people. So you have to be careful when you're looking at jobs like this and not get taken advantage of. There is this, I'll put a link in here. There's a rate guide. Actually, let me share a few links. This is the rate guide. This is called the GVAA, the Global Voice Acting Academy Rate Guide. That will help you. That will show you what average prices are, what you should be asking for certain voiceover jobs. That will answer that question. And then I'm going to also put the Atlanta Voiceover Studio link here, so you can check out classes if you would like. Yeah. What else? Any other questions?
Actually, Chloe, this is about time because the kids are going to get ready to start pack and go into the next class.
Okay, I see one girl. I think it's a ponytail.
Go for it.
Oh no, I didn't know if someone was waiting to. Okay, all right, cool.
Does she have another question, Kaku? Vanessa? Vanessa, do you have a question?
No, well, they were just fascinated at the anime that you did. They saw the picture.
Oh,
yeah.
cool. Awesome.
While you were talking, they Googled it.
Awesome.
Thank you so much for everything, for playing with us.
Was awesome. Thank you. Bye. Keep at it. Keep asking questions. And thank you so much for having me. It was a pleasure.
Take care. Bye.
Thank you so much. Bye. All right, Danny, I'll send you an email.